I know that's why I say, because DB is the biggest Kobe fan. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and if 2020 had been in Kareem's playing career, how would that have played out in your locker room?
What do you mean?
Like with the George Floyd stuff and the coronavirus, and because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was pretty much into like
social justice and all that stuff, civil rights.
Yeah, civil rights. Yes,
oh, yeah,
yes.
Oh yeah, Kareem is still doing that, of course. Jeez, are you kidding me? Kareem, and from the '60s, he grew up in the '60s in the civil rights era. So guys like Kareem, athletes back in those days, they risked their lives back in the '60s, man, because they used to get death threats back in those days. America has evolved since then. The athletes today don't get those. LeBron James and all the outspoken activist athletes today don't get those kind of death threats that Jim Brown and Bill Russell and John Carlos, Tommy Smith, young Lou Alcindor, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Arthur Ashe, people like that were getting back in the '60s, talking about civil rights and social justice. Those people back then were so brave, because a lot of those guys, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, their careers were ruined because they spoke out about equality. And at the '68 Olympic Games, their lives were kind of ruined. And so they risked their careers. A lot of them sacrificed their careers and couldn't get a job after they were expunged from the white society, because they actually were brave enough to speak out. But if Kareem was around today, he'd be right out in the forefront, which he is now, even in retirement, still talking about social justice and civil rights and equality.
Right. Who's the greatest basketball player of all time?
Boy, that's a great question. I think that comes down to 4 guys. Okay. And obviously, people of your generation always say Michael Jordan, and you're not wrong for saying that. Anybody listening to us?
I say Kareem. I got Kareem.
I say Kareem too, but people have forgotten about Kareem, I believe. If you say Michael Jordan, you're not wrong. A lot of people now saying LeBron, and LeBron has a good case to make. He's in the argument. He's in a discussion. Wilt Chamberlain. How do you forget about Wilt? Wilt has numbers out there that won't ever be even approached. Must have broken. It's a joke.
Come on, Michael, spit it out. Michael, spit it out.
Yeah, you look at Wilt's career, it's like cartoon numbers. How is that possible to average 50 points a game? Average 27 rebounds a game. Average 22 rebounds a game for his career. 30 points a game for his career. Why isn't Wilt Chamberlain considered the greatest player ever? 100 points in a game. Every record you look in the NBA record books, it's some guy accomplishes something. It's the most points since Wilt Chamberlain. It's the most rebounds since Wilt Chamberlain. That's how it is. It's like people forgot about Wilt. But I think those are the 4 guys. And then how do you not talk about Bill Russell? 11 championships. Probably the greatest defensive player to ever play the game. Well, people say, well, that's not scoring. But okay, so Kareem's the greatest scorer, and Russell's the greatest defender. That's half the court, half the game, right? Is playing defense. You can't win a championship without winning playing defense. And Russell won 11 of them. So how do we forget about him? So discussions but mainly 4 guys: Kareem, Wilt, LeBron, and Michael. And if you listen to people still talking about it today, that question, trying to answer the question, it seems like Michael still has the edge. But I tell you, if LeBron somehow catches Michael and gets 6 rings, I think and passes Kareem for all-time scorer, which he's probably going to do, then you got to throw LeBron right there neck and neck with Jordan and Kareem. So I guess I didn't say one guy, but I'm like you. I think Kareem's the greatest high school player ever.
He didn't lose till he got to the pros, man.
He's the greatest college player ever, and he's one of the 2 or 3 greatest NBA players ever. 6 championships, 6 MVPs, all-time leading scorer. So yeah, Kareem, he's the greatest.
Lost 1 game in college, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I know, 1 game, and he would have won 4 championships, but they didn't let freshmen play when he came in. Kareem's freshman team beat the defending championship team in a scrimmage. Yeah, the same at UCLA. They scrimmaged the championship guys who came back, and Kareem's freshman team beat them. So if that stupid NCAA rule would have allowed freshmen to play back then, how stupid a rule was that? Kareem would have won 4 championships at UCLA. That's how great he was.
Yeah, for sure. DB?
Yeah, Michael Thompson used to be one of my favorites, man. What happened to Michael Thompson? Yeah, Kobe Bryant is number one. I think what he meant was Kobe was the king, and then these other guys were ranked number 1 through 2, 3, and 4 behind Kobe. That's what he meant. I understand now.
Yeah, Kobe. Kobe. You know, I mean, maybe Kobe doesn't get enough respect, but I think most people put Jordan above Kobe.
Yeah, well, you know, most people just don't have their brains right. So let's do more Kobe talk. So Kobe, the greatest Laker of all time, greatest player of all time, he'll have a statue in front of the Staples Center, maybe 2 statues. What pose do you think they're going to use for Kobe statues?
Oh, that's a good question. What pose? Let's see. Kobe he was so cool. Is it going to be a move off the dribble? Is it going to be in a jump shot kind of a way? Kobe's jumper? Maybe it should be Kobe's. Oh, I know it should do. Kobe had that like one-legged fall away jumper. You remember that? He would like post you up and then fall backwards. Yeah, like that with one leg out. Yeah, I think that's the pose that should be in. Like with his arms outstretched, follow through on a fadeaway jumper. I think that would be the one.
But I heard rumors of there being 2, one with the number 8 and one with the number 24. So what would the other pose be?
Then the other one's got to be probably him soaring in the air. Because remember when Kobe was young, boy, that boy could get up. And he had some ferocious dunks. So he'd have to be somehow soaring in the air, sort of like in a lean with his arms stretched out, getting ready to dunk the ball.
Yeah, I know just the photo too. He had an afro, had his arms both arms cocked back with his knees bent.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. All right. So if there was just one moment in Laker history, the one greatest moment in Laker history, what would it be?
I would say it would be the 80. I think it was the 85 championship.
On that. Yeah,
when the Lakers finally beat the Celtics. I think that was it. It wasn't 87 when I was there, 85, because the Lakers had never beaten the Celtics in the finals. And even though they've won many, many championships, beating the Celtics, that meant the most. I think that probably broke the Lakers through that Celtic barrier when Pat Riley and the Lakers beat the Celtics in 85. So I think that's the most important because they beat their arch enemy the first time.
Is that the one where Chick Hearn's Magic just what I thought a hook shot down?
No, that was the 87. The 85 one was remember in 85 they lost the first game like 148 to 114. They got crushed in the first game.
Yes.
And then the Lakers came back and won that series because everybody thought the series was over after game 1. They got beat so bad, but yet the Lakers came back and won that in 6 games, I believe.
Yeah, Boston with that weird Boston Garden floor that they used to have soft spots in.
That's right. Yeah, that old historic floor.
Parquet,
right.
Boston.
Parquet. Yeah.
Parquet. So Kobe had an 81-point game, which is equivalent to maybe Wilt scoring 101 points. He also had that 60-point retirement game. Which Kobe game is the most, iconic game?
Yeah, that's a good one. The 81 was against Toronto, middle of the season. 60 was his last game. But I think when the Kobe coming out game, when everybody realized, this boy's pretty special. He's the next one.
Indiana.
When he put the Lakers on his back. He had a bad ankle, remember? He had a bad ankle.
Yeah.
Shaq had fouled out. Kobe told Shaq, don't worry, I got this. And he just destroyed Indiana. I think that was his coming out game. Everybody said, yep, he's special. So that's the one. Because it's in the finals too. So that carries a whole lot more weight than a regular season game or a regular season achievement.
Absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you played for Coach Ramsey, and Coach Ramsey was a good, hard-nosed coach, but then you played for Rouse too. And everybody talked about Rouse being, like a hard disciplinarian. So if guys were not professional or just didn't meet his quality or his standards, what was the disciplinary actions that he would take?
You get cut. That's it. Riley doesn't suffer fools, or immaturity. He expects you to be a man. He expects you to do your job, show up on time, work hard, and hold down your responsibilities. If you can't do that, him and Magic Johnson would say, "See you later. Have fun at your next job or your next team." They ain't got time. They ain't got time for that. So that's how Riley and Jack Ramsey were. They were true professionals. The way they approached their job, and they expected you to be a professional too. No clowning around. You can have fun, but you when it's time to go to work, it's time to go to work, and don't be late.
Who coaches that Laker great team? Pat Riley or Phil Jackson?
Oh, Riles, because he's a Laker. You know, Phil's great, but
Yeah.
Riles is a Laker. Riles came in as a Laker, and he'll always be a Laker.
Yeah, so I want to see how deep your purple and gold runs. So Clay's in the finals against the Lakers with his team. Would you rather for Clay to have a 20-point game and win a title, or Clay take this last-second shot and lose to the Lakers with a 40-point game?
Well, anytime you're a parent, you want your kid to be happy and to achieve more than you've ever achieved. So I'd always pull for my son to win, no matter what I'm doing, to beat me. I'd rather my son be successful than me be successful. Wow. Now, Laker fans won't agree with that. They'd want the Lakers to win. But personally, I'd rather see Clay have success than for my team to win. Just can't pull against your kid. Can't pull against your son, no matter what.
Who says the prayer? Who says the prayers at Thanksgiving now? Because he got 3 now, right?
Yeah, he's got 3.
So is he the man of the house?
I know it's frustrating. He's got 3, but it's frustrating because they should have had 4, 5. They lost to the 73 team lost game 7 at home against LeBron. Should have won that, and then they would have swept Toronto if they were healthy.
Yeah,
you know, that's the frustrating thing about it. Injuries happen; it's part of the game, and you have to accept that. But even though they won 3, Clay and I will sit around and sometimes we talk about the 2 that got away.
Right.
The one against LeBron in 16, and then the one in 19 against the Raptors. If KD, remember when KD came back for that 1 quarter before he got hurt?
Rolling, he was. Yeah.
He had like 10 points in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And the Raptors were like, what happened? They didn't know that KD just gave everybody a glimpse of what would have been if he was healthy. That series they would have swept the Raptors.
Right. What were you thinking when Clay threw? I mean, tell me your reaction when Steph threw that behind the back pass in that game 7.
You know, it's just frustration. You just go, Steph, no.
I couldn't get it. I couldn't. Yeah. I was like, what are you doing? It's the 4th quarter, man. What are you doing? Yeah, on the perimeter. It has no purpose. It has no purpose on the 30 feet away from goal.
That's the way Steph plays, though. He plays with a flair. And and I guess he just had being himself.
Yeah. Man, this was a fun time, man.
Yeah, you got me all worked up. I shouldn't start talking boxing now. I need to go outside and take a walk. I got to calm down.
Man, we truly thank you for coming on, man. You lit us up tonight, man. Man, the chat is going crazy. And obviously, we wish your son great recovery. And man, can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. You had what's your opinion on LeVar Ball? Because LeVar has 3 boys, 3 professional athletes. You got 3 boys, 3 professional athletes.
I love LeVar. I love his confidence. I love his belief in his boys. I love the way he supports his boys. Yeah, sometimes he says outrageous things, but I don't take that seriously. I like the way he believes in Lonzo and LiAngelo and LaMelo. And so far, he's been right. Now, Lonzo is going to be a long-time pro. LaMelo looks like he's going to be special. You know, and that boy looks like a more souped-up Jason Kidd. I love LaMelo Ball. And LiAngelo, who knows? Maybe someday he'll get a shot in the league. He just can't give up on his dreams either. If I was him, I'd keep pursuing. But I love the way LeVar promotes his boys and the way he believes in them, the way he promotes basketball. He's been quiet this year. We haven't heard from him. I'm disappointed because I like he's being interviewed. I miss LeVar. But I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of his. And the more he talks, he's like a carnival barker. But you know, he believes in his boys, and he's a strong father figure, and that's what we need more of. More fathers like him.
Right. DB, get him out of here.
Good, yeah. Look forward to hearing you, John, Stu, Billy Mack. Love hearing you guys call them, man. I remember as a little lad, I listened to the games if the Lakers were away. What I do is I pause the TV and I turn on AM and listen to Chick and Stu over the radio. So, I've always been connected to listening to the games that way, man. But love hearing you guys call them. You're great at it. You got the purple and gold in your blood. And, man, I hope us success because I am a Laker too. And you know, wish you and your family good health, and thanks for coming to spend some time with us in the barbershop.
Yeah.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Love being in the barbershop. That's the best sports talk in the world.
Man, I appreciate you coming. You with us up tonight. And we going to call you much sooner than later, man, because boxing is a staple for us, man. And I would, next big fight, I'll your availability and see where you're at, man. And you've always come through for me, man. And
next big fight, you must be talking about the UFC, because it ain't happening in boxing. Tell your chat room to get on Charlo and all these boys and tell them to stop ducking and running.
And they will. They will. And thank you, man. I appreciate always coming through for me, man. Thank you, man.
Buddy, you bet. My pleasure. Talk to you guys later.
All right, for sure. Man, what a fun interview, DB.
Man. Yeah, I got mad for a second and should have to catch myself. You know what I'm
saying? Because you're a Kobe fan, man. Man, it's okay. People got their own opinion, man. Michael can be great too. You can love Malcolm and Martin. You can love both. You can love Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois, man. Come on, man. Man, I'm hyped right now, man. I'm hyped.
He knew his boxing, though.
God.
Man, that had me pumped.
I listen to him every day with Max Kellerman. Every day, man. That was a hell of a show, man. Hell of a show out here, man. 710. Was it 710? ESPN?
Yep, 710
a.m. 710, yeah. All the time, man. And
He be giving Kellerman the business.
Oh,
too.
he do.